For the simple fact that I spoke to Kyler Murray this past week, and Kyler was livid about what happened last week versus New England. He know they were supposed to walk out of that stadium with a win, and it set the team back a little bit, but it also motivated him, and now he's feeling like the onus is on him. I feel like they lost Larry last week, Larry Fitzgerald, and he was a big reason that the offense didn't get going. It's amazing that his presence on the field still goes a long way, and Kyler expressed that, and I seen it when I was watching the game. But, it's a tough divisional opponent. It's a game that they have to win. It's almost a must-win situation. You're looking at two teams, kind of scratching and clawing, trying to figure out their identity, but knowing that, it's great things in the near future in terms of the playoffs. So, this is a week where Kyler knows he has to get it right. I think he's putting this team on his shoulders. He's taking the onus, like I said, and he believes that they can get it done. So that reason alone, and talking to him and hearing his confidence, gives you reason to believe that he's going to do everything in his power to generate a win. And, I take nothing away from the Rams. They're still in contention. They still got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on defense, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to win the game the way they've played so far this past season.
Yeah, Mike, I'm torn here, and you talk about Kyler taking the pressure and the weight on his own shoulders, and he's taking it personal. And I think it's because of that shoulders why they lost the last two games. I think because he's banged up and he hasn't been able to take off and be dynamic, both in the passing game and the running game, it's why they lost. When this kid takes off more than 7 times, they win the game. They're 6-1. When he doesn't, they're 4-0. Now, I'm torn here because I don't know which way to go. These teams are really good. They're interesting. They have some high highs and they have some low lows. But I think it's going to come down to the Rams. I think the Rams are a more balanced team. They know who they are. And it comes down to Jared Goff not turning the ball over. But if I have to get specific and really pull back the layers, it's going to come down to one key matchup, and that's Jalen Ramsey versus Nuke, DeAndre Hopkins. That's what it is. Like, these guys, they battled before. D-Hop won one, Ramsey won one. I think the run game and that run defense in the Rams, it washes itself out, and it's going to come down to who's going to make the biggest play on the back end. So D-Hop hasn't done it yet against a really big corner this year, I don't think. But he needs to go for seven catches and at least 120 yards. And he has to do it in the biggest moments in the game. If he do that, then he'll give his team a chance to win, Nick.
So here's the problem for the Cardinals. They've got the best quarterback, and the Rams, if we were doing tail of the tape, win everything else. The Rams have the better coach. They have the better defense. I would argue they have the better overall collection of talent on offense. Even with the loss of Whitworth, they have the better offensive line. And the Cardinals' best offensive player, DeAndre Hopkins, is matched up against maybe the one corner in the league most suited, or best suited, I should say, to slow him down. So how do the Cardinals win, and how do the Cardinals avoid all of a sudden losing 4 out of 5 with the one win in the last month being the Hail Mary? They've got to turn Goff over. You can tell Sean McVay is losing his patience with Jared Goff. I think Sean McVay feels like, my God, if we had Ryan Tannehill, we'd be 9-2 and a Super Bowl favorite. Instead, we have a guy who's turned the ball over 6 times in the last 2 weeks. And so if I'm the Cardinals, I don't think they can win if the plus-minus is even. I think they have to win the turnover battle. I know that sounds cliche, but you always want to win the turnover battle. But I think for the Cardinals, it's a necessity to win the turnover battle this game, Wilds, because I think the Rams have too many other edges, even though I think Kyler's a far better player than Jared Goff.
Yeah. Brandon, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You gave us what I call a roulette take. You took a lot of chips and you placed them. You're like, I'll put some chips here. I'll put some chips here. Put some chips on Jalen Ramsey. Put some chips on D-Hop. Put some chips on Kyler. So you got, like, you're looking back at this take. You're like, ooh, this take, I got a lot of things covered. But now I'm going to ask you for a blackjack blackjack take. You just got to give it to me. Is it Jalen or D-Hop who wins this battle. And we can show the graphic of the last 2 games, but they played about 7 games, and it's been even. But now I'm going to put you on the spot. Who wins this battle? No more roulette. Give it to me straight, Brandon.
Well, what I want to say is Nuke has to win this battle, right? But if you're putting him on the spot, well, what you did, then I go with Jalen Ramsey because it's less about Nuke and more about the quarterback. When you're playing against a top-tier corner, that chemistry between the receiver and the quarterback and the play caller, it has to be lights out. Okay, when I used to play against Darrelle Revis, Antonio Cromartie, when I was with the Miami Dolphins, they were with the New York Jets. I knew that only an inch was my separation. They weren't going to give me much. My quarterback, he had to be perfect in his drop, and he had to be perfect with his ball placement. You saw it. You saw it against Mike Evans and Jalen Ramsey. Mike Evans beat Jalen Ramsey a couple times. Tom Brady was just off the mark a few times. Mike Evans could have went for 150 yards, but because they weren't on the same page, now it looks like Jalen Ramsey got the edge. So I would say that Jalen Ramsey has the edge because Jalen Ramsey is just him out there on that island. When you're a wide receiver, you got to be in sync with that play caller and also that quarterback.
You're absolutely right, man. When you talk about the quarterback and the receiver relationship and the head coach or the offensive coordinator going into this game, it's sort of tricky because you look out on the edge and you see one of the top corners in the league, and then you have one of your best pass catchers. But as a quarterback, naturally, you don't want to put the ball in harm's way. So I say all that to say, you know, it may be limited targets to DeAndre Hopkins. He might not get as many balls thrown his way just because of the precaution and the way that the quarterback has to approach the game. You can't try him. You got to be meticulous in your approach. So he might get limited passes, which may look like Jalen Ramsey wins the battle on the outside. I know that's not the way to go about it, the way to look at it, but that's how we.
Yeah, but I agree with Nick, and Nick basically said like the Cardinals got to be damn near perfect to get this win, and for that reason, like if I'm in that position, what I'm saying is, you know what, I'm going right at Jalen Ramsey because I know they're going to take my run game away. D-Hop, go win this game. I'm going to him, say I'm coming to you. I'm living with 2 picks, 3 picks, or we fail. But